When JSOC needed a unit so aggressive that hesitation was fatal, they picked DevGru SEAL veterans, twice filtered and bred in the aftermath of Operation Eagle Claw, to clear 3 floors and end Osama bin Laden in 15 minutes. Delta Force matches them in numbers and firepower, but not in the raw violence of action that comes from a selection pipeline nobody else in the US military can replicate. How does a difference in origin, culture, and maritime mastery make DevGru deadlier? And why do some commanders want this edge when lives hang in the balance? The real answer starts decades before Operation Neptune's Spear. In 1977, Colonel Charles Beckwith returned from an exchange with the British SAS and convinced Army leadership that the United States needed a dedicated counterterrorism force. Delta Force was born out of that vision, built on a foundation of calculated precision and independent action. Beckwith drew heavily from the SAS playbook, emphasizing long reconnaissance, disciplined marksmanship, and a culture that valued restraint as much as aggression. Operators were expected to think first, shoot second, and operate in the shadows without fanfare. 3 years later, the Pentagon faced a national embarrassment. Operation Eagle Claw, the failed attempt to rescue American hostages in Iran, exposed glaring gaps in the military's ability to conduct complex special operations. The Navy's answer came from Commander Richard Marcinko, a Vietnam veteran with a reputation for audacity. In 1980, Marcinko established SEAL Team 6, later known as DevGru, with a mandate to do what the Army could not. He aimed to dominate the maritime counterterrorism domain. Marcinko's approach was blunt and relentless. He handpicked operators who had already survived basic underwater demolition SEAL training, then pushed them further, embedding a culture where speed and initiative were not just encouraged, but demanded. His mantra, "The only easy day was yesterday," became a rallying cry for a unit that would come to define aggression in special operations. Delta and DevGru emerged from different DNA. One was shaped by British influence and a methodical approach to violence. The other was forged in the aftermath of failure, embracing risk and raw momentum. Those founding philosophies still echo in every mission, every selection, and every split-second decision made by their operators. DevGru and Delta Force operate at the very top of the special operations world. But when it comes to resources, manpower, and firepower, the differences are not as stark as some imagine. On paper, there is parity in capability. DevGru maintains a roster of approximately 300 operators, distributed across 4 assault squadrons: red, blue, gold, and silver, supported by specialized teams for logistics, intelligence, and technology. Squadrons and support structures are in place to sustain high-tempo operations. Delta Force fields approximately 400 operators, organized into multiple squadrons with similar support elements. Both units draw on deep pools of experience and institutional resources. Both units fall under the Joint Special Operations Command, JSOC, which gives them access to the same classified equipment pipelines, air assets, and intelligence feeds. Classified systems and platforms are available to both when missions require them. Every operator in both groups trains with an extraordinary volume of live ammunition, over 100,000 rounds per person per year. Ammunition usage at this scale is a common denominator across Tier 1 units. This ammunition budget matches between DevGru and Delta, and it aligns with other top-tier units under JSOC. The training resource baseline is effectively the same, matches across the board. There is no secret weapon or hidden gear advantage driving an edge for either group. Their armories feature overlapping selections of carbines, pistols, breaching tools, and night vision systems, often sourced from the same manufacturers and upgraded with identical technology. Hardware is largely shared. The real distinction does not lie in hardware or headcount. On paper, both units are equipped and manned to the highest standards available anywhere in the world. Distinction emerges elsewhere. This parity in resources and firepower sets the stage for a deeper examination of what truly separates them: the human factors that shape who gets selected, how they are trained, and what kind of warrior they become. Green Team stands as the ultimate proving ground for SEALs seeking to join DevGru. The process begins with a simple fact: only those who have already completed BUDS and served multiple years on operational SEAL teams are even considered. Each candidate typically brings 7 to 10 years of special operations experience before they ever set foot in the selection course. Green Team itself stretches over 6 months, blending relentless evaluation with advanced training. Every phase is watched by instructors who have walked the same path, measuring not just physical skill but decision-making under pressure and the ability to thrive in chaos. The washout rate remains high. Half or more will not make the cut despite all having survived the SEAL pipeline and combat deployments. Those who do succeed are drafted directly into one of DevGrew's assault squadrons and are ready for immediate deployment. Delta Force, by comparison, opens its doors to a wider pool. Soldiers from across the Army, Rangers, Special Forces, and even conventional units can volunteer after just 2.5 years of service. The initial assessment lasts about a month, followed by a 6-month operator training course that resets every candidate to 0, regardless of background. This approach produces a different archetype. Delta operators are generalists, shaped by a diverse Army experience and a selection that prizes independent judgment. DevGrew's double filter, first Buds, then Green Team, creates a force where every member has already proven themselves twice before earning their place. The difference in entry standards and experience levels sets the tone for what each unit values in its operators and how they approach the missions that follow. DevGrew's dominance in the maritime domain is unmatched within JSOC. Operators train for scenarios that push the boundaries of what is possible on, under, and around the water. Where most special mission units might practice basic boarding or diving, DevGrew turns these skills into an art form. Assault squadrons rehearse submarine lockout procedures, slipping out of submerged vessels through dry deck shelters and piloting swimmer delivery vehicles, mini-subs designed to carry teams undetected for miles beneath the surface. These vehicles allow operators to approach hostile coastlines or ships in total silence, surfacing only at the moment of attack. Visit, Board, Search, and Seizure, VBSS, is another area where DevGrew sets the standard. Operators specialize in storming moving vessels at sea, climbing ladders under fire, clearing tangled corridors, and coordinating with Navy ships for real-time support. VBSS missions demand a blend of combat diving, close quarters battle, and split-second decision-making that few other units can match. The tools and tactics are tailored for the chaos of a pitching deck, the blinding darkness of ship interiors, and the ever-present threat of armed resistance. While other JSOC units maintain some maritime capability, none invest the same depth or frequency of training. For operations involving ship seizures, underwater infiltration, or coastal assaults, DevGrew is the default choice. This mastery of the maritime environment is not just a legacy of their SEAL heritage, it is a living, evolving edge that shapes how JSOC assigns its most demanding waterborne missions. When JSOC planners assign units to missions, tempo and style matter. DevGrew's reputation for explosive speed and a willingness to surge forward means they are often tapped for raids where every second counts, such as compound clearances, high-value target kills, and ship boardings where hesitation could be fatal. Delta Force, by contrast, is the first call for hostage rescues that demand restraint, or for operations where holding fire matters more than pulling the trigger. Former operators recall joint missions where DevGrew teams moved down hallways faster, cleared rooms sooner, and made split-second calls that would give even seasoned Delta shooters pause. Assignment logic reflects these realities. DevGrew is chosen when planners want overwhelming force delivered at maximum speed, especially in environments where chaos is expected and aggression is rewarded. Delta's more methodical approach is favored for missions that hinge on patience, judgment, and precise discrimination between threats. This allocation pattern is not arbitrary. It is the result of years of experience, after-action reviews, and a deep understanding of how each unit's culture translates into action on the ground. Aggression has always been a double-edged sword in special operations. DevGrew's relentless pace and willingness to push boundaries have brought results, but also controversy. In 2017, the case of Chief Eddie Gallagher drew national attention. Accused of stabbing a wounded ISIS fighter and posing for photos with the body, Gallagher's trial exposed fractures inside the SEAL community, as junior operators testified against a decorated chief while command struggled to manage the fallout. Although Gallagher was acquitted of murder, the proceedings revealed a pattern. DevGrew and its parent command have faced more public investigations for alleged war crimes than their Delta Force counterparts. Former operators and military justice experts point to a culture that sometimes tolerates risk and aggression beyond the edge of discipline. In response, naval special warfare expanded psychological screening, added ethics training, and increased oversight from judge advocate general officers. These reforms aim to preserve the unit's fighting spirit while imposing clearer boundaries. It is an uneasy balance for a force built on speed and violence. DevGrew's culture of aggression and twice-filtered selection creates a force trusted for missions where speed and violence decide outcomes. As modern threats shift to coastal and maritime domains, that edge matters more than ever, and the cost of such lethality is still being measured. What is your take?